Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Quentin Tarantino returns for his ninth feature-length film. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood follows the story of Rick Dalton, an aging Hollywood star who's finding it difficult to transition from the days of old shoot-'em-up style westerns into a new era of Hollywood. Set in the late 1960s against the backdrop of the Manson family murders, Quentin Tarantino once again provides his own take on a historic event, while putting on full display his love for this golden era of cinema. I have a weird relationship with Quentin Tarantino. I obviously really appreciate his craft and his way of putting a film together. In particular, I really love his screenwriting abilities. I think his dialogue is great, even in films that I don't necessarily love. And his brand, his style, is something to be admired. However, I do find some aspects to his writing and his choices as both a writer and director to be a little bit unsavory. Combine that with what we heard about the Kill Bill and Uma Thurman situation, it all just kind of made me feel a little bit icky hearing Tarantino, and made it a little bit more difficult for me to get fully excited to see this film. However, the trailers were great, and as someone who loves film, it's hard not to get excited for what looks to be a pretty great film. Plus, you have an all-star cast that includes Leonardo Dicaprio, Brad Pitt, and Margot Robbie. Yeah, I'm on board. I'm ready. And what Tarantino delivered? Well, I think it was a very good film, but for me personally, it just lacked a little bit. It lacked a little bit of magic somewhere. So let's go ahead and start off with the positives. Well, as anticipated, it is a beautiful film. This movie is shot gorgeously on 35mm film. It looks absolutely stunning. The cinematography is gorgeous. I love the decision to kind of bathe the entire film in a really golden hue, obviously as homage to the era of film, and it looked amazing. It was such a beautiful choice, honestly. The costuming was stunning. The set design and the attention to every detail on these sets and the streets around the city was amazing. Every technical aspect to filmmaking here was just pitch perfect, from the music selection down to the editing. Everything was flawless. It was a beautifully crafted film, top to bottom. And Tarantino style is all over it. Everything you come to expect and hope for from a Tarantino movie is here, and it is here in spades. From the witty dialogue to the cartoon style violence, it's all here. Overall, it's pretty entertaining. There are a lot of little vignettes throughout the film as we pay homage to the 60s. And so many of them are so good. They're just so funny, so fun to visit, so entertaining. Leonardo Dicaprio gives an amazing performance that was ridiculous, but also really emotional and stirring. He has a really great scene within a scene in this movie that was fantastic. And then the follow-up to that was also just really Leonardo DiCaprio flexing that acting muscle. He was amazing. Brad Pitt was also a whole lot of fun in this movie. I really enjoyed him getting to have a little bit of fun in general, and it worked. He played this character off so well. What a joy. And then Margot Robbie was effervescent. She was lively. Just a really energetic, captivating performance. Much like Ms. Marilyn, who's on my shirt here. Wrong era, I know, but she's kind of my classic Hollywood icon. But Robbie just gives a completely captivating performance. You cannot take your eyes off of her when she's on screen. Now, she's stunningly gorgeous, maybe distractingly so sometimes, but she just radiates through this film, and it's really a joy to behold. And I really enjoyed the revisionist history aspect to this. More than anything, this movie is pretty much aiming to just pay homage, pay tribute to the 60s era of movies and cinema and culture in general, really. And I thought it did such a great job of doing that. And then that leads into some revisionist history in perfect Tarantino style. And this I thought actually was a really fun, great way to change up a story we all have heard over and over and over again. Not only does it fit within Tarantino's style in general, I thought it really added a much needed like spice, flair, flavor to the film and to the storytelling here. So what doesn't work quite so well when it comes to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Well, I'm going to admit the first two acts of the film did drag just a bit for me. I think this movie is too long, honestly. When we finally got to the third act of the movie, I loved it. I loved that entire third act. I thought it was spot on, like pitch perfect. However, the first two acts are just so wrapped up in like the nostalgia. It can be a little bit self-indulgent with the skits, with the era, like crafting of the films. He does get a little self-indulgent there, and we stay there stagnant for too long. There's no sense of urgency. There's no sense of pushing a plot forward. And at times, that's great, and it is a lot of fun. At other times, you're kind of like, okay, I don't know that we needed yet another little, like, breakaway here. It doesn't add much. So the entire first two acts are, like, scenes that probably could be cut. And while I'd say there are more hits than misses, there are a few too many misses when it comes to these little offshoots that make up the whole first 2/3 of the film. And I will say it was great that we did not have Tarantino in here fetishizing the N-word. A high criticism I personally have with his filmmaking. I think he does create great characters that are black and, well, really only black. I don't think he's done many great characters outside that race. Other than, I'd say, like Lucy Liu in Kill Bill. However, it's a common trend that his connection with his black characters directly ties to really fetishizing the N-word and overkilling it, let's just be honest. But a weird sense of catharsis comes through his characters in him being able to finally use that word or express that word through characters that we'll find a little bit more culturally appropriate. So it's very refreshing to not be inundated with that. However, that also means we have no people of color in the film of note. Without the N-word being present all over his films, that also means no people of color present in his films. Ooh, not a great correlation. But we still find plenty of ways to work in racially questionable jokes throughout. And again, he's able to use kind of this guise of historical accuracy in his historically inaccurate works of art. However, we don't need to really drive home this whole Mexican thing that was going on throughout the film. We have some Indian jokes that are thrown in. It's just like, again, I mean, we're following fake actors, the fake people in this film. We didn't have to go with all this. We're not recreating actual scenes here. Also, if you thought in particular the Hateful Eight was really violent toward women, unnecessarily so, you might have a problem in this film in the third act. I'm not going to say anything more than that, but it gets quite violent, in particular toward female characters. I can't say any more, no more spoilers. That's the third act of the film. Just brace yourselves if you thought the violence against Jennifer Jason Leigh in The Hateful Eight was gratuitous. And yeah, Tarantino's foot fetish is like on full display in this film. It's everywhere, and feet drive me nuts, so it's kind of like, oh my gosh. And in this film particularly, there was just not needed at all. In particular, the scene with Sharon Tate watching her own movie in the theater did not need, like, dirty bottoms of feet chilling up on that thing. I don't know. Feet gross me out a lot, so it sticks out to me a lot when they're so prevalent. And they were very prevalent in this movie. So overall, I really did enjoy Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There is a lot of the laughs come frequent. The heart is surprisingly nice and there. And it is a beautiful love letter to the 60s and cinema. However, it just lacked urgency and a very clear direction for too long, in my personal opinion, padding the runtime to a bit of an unnecessary length. It is a lot more effervescent than most of Tarantino's work, but at times I feel the joy felt a little bit forced. But if you're a Tarantino fan, I think there's enough here that you're really going to enjoy yourself. So I would give this a full price ticket. It is a well-crafted film that has all of the director's styles and isms you're hoping for, and it's great for that. However, if Tarantino hasn't appealed to you in the past, I would say you could probably wait to rent this one. I would still give it a watch because it is a really well executed film overall, but I don't know that there's anything in here that will change your mind, certainly. But since it feels like a much softer Tarantino film than usual, maybe it will be just palatable enough for you to get past all of the director's quirks to get to the exquisite filmmaking at hand. So, that is my review of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or have you already seen it? If you have, let me know your thoughts either in the comment section down below or hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!